I almost feel like playing with. I don't feel like touching that joystick. I mean controller. I really don't feel like just watching the madness that unfold on that Grand Theft Auto. But further ado, let's go to this bullshit here. Why do people go to jail when other people don't? Why? Isn't a crime a crime? Why white people get more privileges than any other nationality? Like the white boy that killed the 4 people in his car. He got probation. Anybody else get negligent homicide and go to jail. Why? Money talk, bullshit run a marathon. Life shouldn't be like that. Let's go.
Pagliano. Mr. Pagliano had worked for Secretary Clinton's 2008 presidential campaign and was in the process of closing out the campaign's IT assets when Mr. Cooper called to discuss a new server for the secretary.
And it's gonna go on.
To put that new server together, Mr. Pagliano used one from her campaign.
Good, beautiful day.
Anything else he needed was evidently bought off the shelf. And then in March of 2009, Mr. Pagliano and Mr. Cooper met in the Clintons' home in Chappaqua, New York, and installed the new server reportedly in the basement. Unlike Mr. Cooper, Mr. Pagliano then went on to become a State Department employee. Just a few months after installing the server, Mr. Pagliano was hired at the State Department as a GS-15 Schedule C. Public reports suggest Mr. Pagliano received a State Department check and he was paid by the Clintons, none of which he reported on his public disclosure forms as required. A recent Office of Inspector General report, Mr. Pagliano's supervisors at the State Department, quote, questioned whether he could support a private client during work hours given his capacity as a full-time government employee, end quote. Mr. Pagliano left the State Department in February of 2013, just as Hillary Clinton, Secretary Clinton left. When responsibility for the server is turned over, when the responsibility for the servers turned over to our next 2 witnesses, things started to get a little bit more complicated. Mr. Bill Thornton and Mr. Paul Combetta both worked for Platte River Networks. Platte River was hired by Secretary Clinton in early 2013 to host the email server after Mr. Pagliano had been working on it. PRN, or Platte River Networks, migrated Secretary Clinton's emails on the Pagliano-managed server to its own server, which was located at a data center in Secaucus, New Jersey. Things with Platte River Networks get complicated in March of 2015, according to the FBI report. In early March 2015, the New York Times reveals Secretary Clinton used a private email account while at the State Department. The House Select Committee on Benghazi sends both a preservation request and a subpoena following the news. According to the FBI report, that preservation request is forwarded to PRN, or Platte River Networks, by Cheryl Mills, the former Secretary Clinton Chief of Staff and current attorney. In his first interview with the FBI, evidently, Mr. Combetta had no memory of that request. In a subsequent interview, he not only remembered the request, but stated he understood it meant not to delete any of Secretary Clinton's emails. Then, around the end of March, a number of things happened. There's a conference call between Platte River Networks, Cheryl Mills, and David Kendall, another one of Secretary Clinton's private attorneys. Then, once again, Mr. Combetta's story changes. In his first FBI interview, he says he deleted no emails of Secretary Clinton around that time, but later on he states he not only deleted the archive of Secretary Clinton's emails on the server, but also used a product called BleachBit to delete her PST files on the server. At the same time, a number of manual deletions were made on the backups of that Platte River Network server. We appreciate the witnesses that are here today. We hope they can illuminate the situation and allow us to better understand it, because, as I said before, this is one of the biggest breaches of security in the history of the State Department. We have a duty and an obligation to investigate it.
I'll stop it right there to say this here to you people. Listen to that song in the background. This is exactly how they treat us, like pawns in our own chess game. We are pawns that's expendable to these people. If we did half or less than half of what this guy just did, we wouldn't be sitting in there without handcuffs on. Unless we have some powerful person backing us up. That ain't cool. That means the small people like myself is gonna get left out behind some bullshit. Like I say this and I keep saying this because this might be another reason why YouTube and Facebook mute my shit, because the truth is the truth. What happened to me with a doctor inside a hospital September the 16th, 2015. No, that was this year. No, 15. Yeah, 15. 2015. It's being swept under the rug like it was nothing. But it was something. It was something to me. I had a doctor tell me that I was HIV positive and I wasn't. And then a doctor controlled a nurse on the bus. That's not cool with me. Cause bad enough the nurses ain't worth shit, some of them. And I'm gonna say that again. Some of them ain't worth shit. You got good ones, you got bad ones. So I just say it like this. For him to throw this nurse under the bus, and I can say that this nurse treated me better than most of my experiences in the hospital. So I'm saying this to that nurse, thank you. But I'm saying this to that doctor, I'm coming for you. Your ass is grass and I'm the lawnmower that's gonna mow it. And it is what it is. Because if you actually think you're gonna get away from even coming in there and laughing with me like that was a joke and I was supposed to laugh it off, y'all was getting ready to start me on HIV medication, partner. And then to those of you that was in the operating room when that situation happened, I'm coming for you too. Y'all gonna tell the world what happened in the operating room. Y'all gonna tell the world what happened in the operating room. If not by you coming straight out, y'all gonna tell what happened in the emergency room. I'm just saying. Your conscience is not gonna hold that in when I come out. I'm just saying. Let's finish with this bullshit.
Now recognize the ranking member, Mr. Cummings, for his opening statement.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Today is our third emergency hearing about Secretary Clinton's emails in 4 business days. Third in 4 days. Emergency. I believe this committee is abusing taxpayer dollars and the authority of Congress in an astonishing onslaught of political attacks to damage Secretary Clinton's campaign for President of the United States of America. This is the first time in my 20 years in Congress that I personally witnessed the oversight power of this committee abused in such a transparently political manner to directly influence a presidential campaign. The point of today's hearing is to investigate baseless Republican accusations that Secretary Clinton or her aides ordered the destruction of emails to conceal them
y'all ain't number a bunch
from
of fucking puppets.
investigators.
Y'all ain't number a bunch of puppets.
The most important
Say what the
fact
fuck
of
you
today's
feel.
hearing is
My
that
job
the
in
FBI
jeopardy. My
already
job.
researched these
My
accusations
job.
and thoroughly debunked them.
Bullshit.
They interviewed witnesses, examined forensic evidence, and concluded that these accusations have no merit. FBI Director Comey stated, and I quote, "We found no evidence that any of the..."
Looking to buy a car? You can enjoy a better experience with TrueCar. First, go to TrueCar.com and build the car you want.
Yeah, y'all don't want to buy
Hey,
no
sweet
True.
ride. Next, we'll show you what others paid for that car, so you know you're getting a fair price. Then, lock in your guaranteed savings.
Yeah,
by
stop
connecting-
lying.
Quote, "We found no evidence that any of the additional work-related emails were intentionally deleted in an effort to conceal them. End of quote. He went on to say, and I quote, "We did not find any evidence of evil intent, an intent to obstruct justice." Now, that's the FBI director, a man who had been a lifelong Republican, a man who was applauded by the Republicans as one of the most honorable public servants that ever existed. So he went on and he emphasized in a memo to the staff just last week, and I quote, "The case itself was not a cliffhanger," end of quote. Of course, the Republicans did not like the answers that the FBI director gave. So they simply manufactured today's hearing out of thin air. This entire hearing is a contrived campaign photo op. Here is a playbook the Republicans are using. Step 1, publicly accuse the witnesses of criminal activity.
Isn't it ironic that this is what our tax money is going to pay for? Fiascos like this bullshit. This is what we being taxed for them to play with us, the people that makes the world go round. How stupid can we as the people be? How long can we be stupid? When I say that God is the bullshit that twists you up to be part of this bullshit, you still thinking as a child. You still playing with childish things. You still in La La Land. You still believing that there's some man in the sky that's going to come down out of the sky and help you, or there's some Jesus that's going to come back to save you. Save thyself, because the Creator is in you to do for you, because can't no one do for you like you can. Anyone else is going to do exactly what's been done to you. They're going to tell you what to do, how to think in this shit. That's what school was all about. To program you to be caught up in the bullshit. It did it to your mama and your mama's mama. It's all their story, their look, their books. I'm just saying. I know now why I didn't learn how to read. I know now why I want to learn how to read. I know now why I'm going to learn how to read. Because I'm going to be able to tell some of you people that can't read, you have a mind, you can still think. You don't have to be able to read to think in this age. This age got too much technology for you not to think with your own mind. And those of you that can't read, you are the better ones to get the truth in. Because you haven't had no one to read no story to you to have in. So mine is not no story, because I didn't read nobody's books to give the glory to the Creator of me, not the story, because it's not a story when it's the truth. Everything that the people who going to get to hear about me from here on out is the truth, because I have audio and video of everything that happened to me since I came here from Katrina. And it's been bad, people. I never knew why I was getting all that footage, but now I do know. I say one thing. I did believe in God before to get to the point where I know. But the bullshit was the bullshit. I gotta let it go. I don't care where it got me to. I'm where I'm at, where I'm supposed to be. Because all that matter is right now what I'm speaking. I'm speaking to you the truth about who you are and who's in you to be a better you. Stop the bullshit with the God believing in the bullshit and The Jesus believe in the bullshit because think about it. It ain't true. If something is not true and you believe in it and it's not true, that makes you not true too. So, most people will say, well, don't worry about them because as long as they're doing good things. But when those good things run out and it wasn't based on the truth, bad things are easy to do when you realize, hold on, I've been doing that, and that was wrong all the time. It wasn't true. It gives you a bitter taste in your mouth. That's why the truth will set you free, and the only place where you can be free, and it starts in your heart. Come on, people. We got to love ourselves to be able to care more. We got to stop eating, killing, and then eat to live instead of kill to eat. Stop eating and killing. Try not seasoning your meat and see if you can eat that meat. Because I already tried eating grass. It ain't good unless it got some ranch dressing on it. I'm just saying. But with your meat, it's something totally different. It didn't grow from the earth. It runs on the earth. Or it comes out of the earth. Y'all eat too much of living things that has a life and want to keep life too. Don't make sense to do something that you wouldn't want someone to do to you. You wouldn't want nobody to eat you. So why are you eating the creator's pets? Why are you eating the animals? Animals shit, piss, fuck, and produce. The animal is almost like you, but the animal do what the animal is supposed to do. You are conscious thinking, human living out an experience of life, consciously thinking about what to do right. There is no left, there is no right. What to do straight, that's the word. What to do straight. Not to the left, not to the right, not back. Straight. Because the creator is straight. Straight love, unconditionally. The feeling. Because without the feeling, you have 5 senses. You have 5 fingers. When you ball your fist up, you have a mighty fist. But not a mighty fist to hit nobody with. A mighty fist to hold on to that person's hand next to you to help that person get through. I'm just saying. Our whole life journey is man and woman coming together to making another one of each other. And life goes on right from there. Everything is twisted up because man and woman took sex, my bad, man and woman took love making to another level. When it was turned into sex and fucking, it became casual. Once it became casual, it was easy to wear out. So that's how you got all your different arousing things dealing with sex because y'all done wore the right way out. It wasn't supposed to be wore out between people that don't know each other. Because it can't get wore out between people that know each other. Because they love coming together with each other. But with people that don't know each other, like 2 ships meeting in the night, after a while, the senses with the equipment runs out of excitement. It's time for you to start thinking for yourself, people. It's time for you to reboot the original computer, which is your brain, and start reprocessing everything that you was taught as a child. Because like I said again, as a child, you think as a child, you play with childish things. It is what it is. The truth is the truth. You got to change some things. So I'll shift gears and go straight into total life change products like the tea, like the NutriBurst, like all the different things. It's time for you to eat to live and stop killing to eat. It's time for you to leave the animal with life and go on living your life and start living your life straight. The choice is yours. That bullshit God got you where you at. Now let that bullshit go. That bullshit Jesus got you where you at. Now let that shit go. Because there's only one Son. And there's one Son without a father and a mother. Because it is the divine light of all life. All creation. It is the one and only Son. Spelled S-U-N. Literally. S-U-N. But the U is not just a half of a circle. It's the whole circle because it's the circle of life. If anything happens to that one and only Son without a mother or father, all life here on earth is done. That's it. So like I say again, people, it's time to love yourself more, to care more about everything in the circle of life. Black lives aren't the only lives that matter. All life matters. Even the life that you take to put on your platter. Back to this madness.
No matter how ludicrous. And then refer them to U.S. Attorney's Office for criminal investigation. That's step one. Step two. The next day, invite these same witnesses to an emergency hearing on those criminal accusations. And then rush to issue a flurry of unilateral subpoenas demanding that they testify. No debate, no vote. Step three, express false outrage when these witnesses, this is the playbook, express false outrage when these witnesses, who you just accused of criminal activity, take advice from their counsel to assert
God we trust is on
Fifth
money.
Amendment right.
And y'all trust money more than y'all trust yourself.
There you have it.
Right there lets you know.
Presto. Instant photo op. That is what happened to Mr. Cabetta, Mr. Thornton, despite the fact that a team of career law enforcement agents at the FBI just unanimously recommended against bringing any criminal charges in this case. Keep in mind that Director Comey said that this was an all-star group of FBI agents. An all-star group of FBI agents said unanimously that these gentlemen should not be charged.
Yeah.
Then there's Brian Pagliano, the IT specialist who worked on Secretary Clinton's email system. Mr. Pagliano has already been interviewed by the FBI, and the FBI provided us with the results of his interview. But the Republicans disagree with the FBI's conclusions. So here we are. Mr. Pagliano has already asserted his Fifth Amendment rights before this Congress. He did this when Chairman Gowdy issued his own unilateral subpoena to force him to appear before the Benghazi Committee on the same issue. Of course, I sat as the ranking member on that select committee. Obviously, Mr. Pagliano was concerned about the criminal accusations that Republicans were making, so his attorney advised him to assert the Fifth Amendment. There's no legitimate reason for Republicans to force Mr. Pagliano to appear yet again before Congress just to assert his Fifth Amendment rights one more time. How many times will Republicans do this? Will they force him to take the Fifth in front of the Science Committee next? How about the Homeland Security or Intelligence Committee? Should we have him go to those committees too? This is an absolute abuse of authority. Now, Chairman Gowdy and I disagree about many things, but I give him full credit for one thing that he did. At least when he subpoenaed Mr. Pagliano, he did it in a private session. He did not force Mr. Pagliano to assert the Fifth in public just to humiliate him. And I respect Mr. Gowdy for that. Let me say this as plain as I can. If this committee's goal were just to get Mr. Pagliano or other witnesses on the record asserting their Fifth Amendment rights, we could do that easily in a private session, just like Mr. Gowdy did with Mr. Pagliano a year ago. There's no legitimate reason to force Mr. Pagliano or the other witnesses who were subpoenaed for this hearing to assert the Fifth in open session. There's only an illegitimate reason to get a photo op that Republicans think could harm Secretary Clinton's presidential campaign. Finally,
do y'all see what our money going to? Do y'all see what our taxpayers' money going to? Do you see whatever you go and spend a nickel on, that fraction of that nickel goes to this bullshit, and these sons of bitches are getting paid to do this bullshit, and then they go out to dinner and laugh about this bullshit afterwards. We the ones left with the fucked up bag. We the ones that bailed out the bank. They bullshit. Why they ain't bail out the people? We the ones that bailed out the bank that put the people houses into foreclosure. After we bailed out the banks went back and foreclosed on 500,000 more homes. After we bailed them out, they went and kicked the people out. Come on, people. Open your motherfucking eyes and stop being stupid. If this don't make sense, you are not a sensible person that wants sense to be made. I'm just saying. It's time for you to put your word where your heart is. Because that's where the real words come from. Your heart. The bullshit comes out your ass and then come out your mouth. It's almost like you regurgitating the shit that you done already took in back out. Come on. Cut it out completely and start feeling the love of the Creator in you, to love everything around you, to speak up for you, and stop allowing people to step on you being stupid. Because I'm not stupid no more. I'm nowhere near that person I used to be when this shit happened to me, March the 5th, 2013, and before that shit started. When I sit here and I think about March the 5th, 2013, when I had 2 paramedics stop my ambulance from getting to the hospital because they felt like they could do a handicapped person something as much as put fear in my heart. I was already in a fragile state when these guys stopped that ambulance. But when they threatened me with bodily harm and incarceration, the part of me from New Orleans came out. So I still say, no matter what, my civil rights were violated, my human rights were violated, reckless endanger of my life, and cruel and unusual punishment. That was 4 things that happened to me that was bad. 4. And that's all I deal in is 4, baby. Because love is 4 words. But I'm just saying, I don't hate those paramedics for what they did. I pity them for what they did, because in this circle of life, what goes around comes around. And they just gotta be ready for they get down when their turn comes around for that ass. So like I say again, for that to happen to me March the 5th, 2013, when I was in an ambulance and they stopped the ambulance from getting to the hospital, right there, my medical attention stopped. That was a violation to reckless endangerment of life. Because if I would have went into cardiac arrest and died, do you actually think these guys would have told the truth? They would have said that I flatlined en route to the hospital and I deceased. And there would have been no more questions asked. When I reported this here March 5th, 2013, I reported this simply because the way that these guys did me, what they did me, they done did some other handicapped person this. They done did some other disabled person this. But this has to stop, because the negligence of these paramedics was just this. They stopped the ambulance. I called 911 for emergency that I was having. 102 fever, an irregular heartbeat, and I was sweating like a runaway slave. I thought I was going to die. I was afraid of dying then. But I say this to you now. I know the glories of all that now. So it is what it is, because I'm telling you the truth. Because I've been somewhere to be able to, and I got truth to stand on even though I sit down. When I stand up to tell my truth on everything that happened to me, whenever I get a chance to, 3 minutes ain't enough time. A lot has happened to me to be where I'm at right now, to be the best me that I could ever be, because I know why. And that is the key. I know love. I know the creator of me. Back to this bullshit.
Some may argue that Mr. Pagliano or Mr. Capetta should testify before us because they received limited use of immunity for their statements to the FBI. But no lawyers worth their salt are going to let their clients testify before a congressional committee whose chairman just sent another referral for criminal prosecution. No matter how frivolous the accusations are, they're just not going to do it. Pursuing these kinds of blatantly political attacks undermines the integrity of our committee, the congressional process, and the constitutional rights that are supposed to protect our citizens against unsubstantiated accusations just like these. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back and I thank you.
We'll hold the record open for 5 legislative days for any members.
Her identity was unknown, and the clues on her body unraveled a mystery.
You're a double agent after you've done this.
Don't do this.
Jane Doe, you're under arrest.
However you feel about Jane, you don't know who she is. I can handle it.
We'll hold the record open for 5 legislative days for any members who'd like to submit a written statement. I'd also ask unanimous consent to allow Lamar Smith, the chairman of Science, Space, and Technology Committee, to join our committee, and would be happy to also entertain a request for a UC from the Democratic side if they would like to join us as well. Without objection, so ordered to allow Mr. Smith to join us today. We now like to recognize our witnesses. I do note the absence of Mr. Pagliano. Let me address that. Let the record reflect that Mr. Pagliano is not present at the witness table. The committee invited Mr. Pagliano to testify at the hearing in a letter dated September 7, 2016. Mr. Pagliano informed the committee through his attorneys that he might assert his Fifth Amendment privilege. I authorized the subpoena for Mr. Pagliano's testimony. On September 8, 2016, the committee transmitted a subpoena to Mr. Pagliano's attorney, and the subpoena required his presence here today. Mr. Pagliano is uniquely qualified to provide testimony that will help the committee better understand Secretary Clinton's use of a private email server during her tenure as Secretary at the State Department, among other things. The committee invited him to appear with the expectation that his testimony will advance the committee's investigation, which seeks further information about the setup and management of Secretary Clinton's account and other technical aspects of the account. I take my responsibility as the committee chairman seriously, especially the decision to issue a subpoena. It's a serious matter, and Mr. Pagliano has chosen to evade a subpoena duly issued by the committee of the United States House of Representatives. I will consult with counsel and my colleagues on the committee to consider a full range of options available to address Mr. Pagliano's failure to appear. It is vital to hear from us because it's our understanding that while Mr. Pagliano worked in the IT department at the State Department for nearly 4 years, virtually every single email that Mr. Pagliano had has suddenly disappeared. There's something like less than 20 emails. This is a guy who worked in the IT department at the State Department. Hashtag things that make you go,
Yeah.
Really? All of his emails have suddenly disappeared. Mr. Pagliano is also important because he was receiving a paycheck from the Clintons, but failed to disclose that on his financial forms. We'd like to give him an opportunity to answer that question. We also believe that he entered into an immunity agreement. You'd think somebody would sing like a songbird if you got immunity from the FBI. What are you afraid of?
Nah.
We wanted to hear from him, and that's why we issued a subpoena.
Nah.
There are a
What
number
are you
of things
afraid
we'd
of?
like to ask him.
Unless
He
you
should
with
be
the
here.
bullshit.
When you are served a subpoena from the United States Congress, it is not optional. That is not an optional activity. And he's not here today.
Chairman.
Mr. Cummings.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Last night, let's make sure we have a complete picture here. Last night, the chairman sent another letter to Mr. Pagliano saying that our committee might go into executive session to accept his Fifth Amendment assertion.
No, I did not say that.
Well, what did you say?
I want this committee to be open and transparent. We do things as everything we can possibly do out in the open. That is the American way. That's the way this committee is going to be run.
Chairman, you?
Sure.
It's my understanding that Mr. Pagliano, his lawyers sent a letter saying that they felt that this was an abusive process and nothing but to embarrass him. And he said that if he wanted to go into executive session and give him immunity, he'd be happy to appear. I just want the committee to have the full breadth of what happened here. He said he'd be happy to appear. And so is there, so I take it that the consultation that you're going to do is going to go into whether or not we're going to give an immunity, whether we're going to have an executive session, and when might we expect that decision?
Well, he made the decision not to be here, and there are consequences for that. Okay, this is, again, the integrity of the House of Representatives. This is not an optional activity. You don't just get to say, hey, well, you know, I decided not to do that. So we'll look at the full range of options. But if anybody's under any illusion that I'm going to let go of this and just let it sail off into the sunset, they are very ill-advised.
Chairman Yo?
Yes.
I'm looking at your letter dated September 12, 2016 to Mark J. McDougal, and you say here in this letter, said, and I quote, "The committee requires Mr. Pagliano's appearance because, among other reasons, the possibility that he will waive or choose not to assert the privilege as to some or all questions, the possibility that the committee will agree to hear his testimony in executive session, and the possibility that the committee will immunize his testimony pursuant to 18 U.S.C. Section 6005. That's what I was inquiring about, Chairman. And that's your letter.
To clarify,
Yeah.
it requires his presence to have those types of discussions. So when he doesn't show up, that option is off the table. You have to be here to have that discussion.
Mr. Chairman, just a point of parliamentary inquiry. You said that it is not an option for the witness who's refused to testify. He was duly presented and served with a subpoena from this committee. Is that correct?
Yes.
And one of the options would be possible contempt of Congress among the options that we have available. And at what point would that be appropriate to consider the options in a future hearing or a request to the chair?
We will consider all options. I would like to continue on with this hearing, given the three witnesses that are here, and they are here, and rather than unduly delay the rest of this hearing, dealing with Mr. Pagliano, we'll complete this hearing and then look at the options.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We're going to, just one thing, sir. Are we going to do that after the hearing? What you just said you were going to do?
We're going to consider the options, given that Mr. Pagliano is non-attendance after he was issued a subpoena. We will deal with that after the conclusion.
And one of those things that we might consider is going into executive session, since Mr. Pagliano said he would be happy to come in executive session. Would that be one of the things?
I will entertain all of the potential requests, but I'm telling you, I have no intention of going into executive session when he thumbs his nose at the United States Congress, wastes this committee's time, U.S. Marshals having to serve subpoenas, and for him not to show. That is just not acceptable.
Mr. Chairman, on a point of order.
Yes.
I just want to understand this as well as I can. Did the chairman issue a criminal referral on Mr. Pagliano?
When we heard that the FBI had not looked at anything that Secretary Clinton had testified under oath before Congress, we did give a referral.
Okay.
When we learned more,
and that's outstanding, right? I mean,
we don't know. We don't know.
Well, you issued it.
We issued it, but we don't know.
Here's my point. Here's my point. You issued a criminal referral for an individual, and then you asked him to come in here and testify before Congress. Let me
clarify.
That would require him to surrender his Fifth Amendment rights if you're referring him and putting him under threat of criminal prosecution and then asking him to come in here. That's not fair. And the immunity doesn't cover him because your referral for criminal prosecution came after the fact and beyond the limited purpose for which he was granted immunity, sir.
There was no criminal referral on Mr. Pagliano. Did we refer the comments and the issues that Mr. Comey, as the director of the FBI, brought up? Absolutely, we did.
Right. Which
he said he required of that. He required us to send it.
But it puts him at risk. What we have done as a committee through you on this referral is put him under threat of criminal prosecution because of the issue that you're investigating. I understand that. But it puts him in jeopardy coming before this committee while that criminal referral is in existence. And I'm just saying, he's an American citizen. I know the Constitution gets in the way of this committee sometimes.
No,
lately.
the gentleman will suspend. The gentleman will suspend.
The gentleman will yield.
To clarify, the referral was to look at Secretary Clinton's testimony before Congress. Okay, that was the referral. Mr. Pagliano, his attendance is required here. There was interaction with Mr. Pagliano with another committee, but that's another committee. You have to bring that up with the other committee. I'm concerned about the integrity of this committee. I think we've done the right thing here. His attendance is required here today. He's not here, and we will deal with that afterwards. We do have Mr. Gambetta here.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Thornton here, and we do have Mr. Cooper here.
Mr. Chairman.
Gentleman from South Carolina.
Could I engage with the chair in a colloquy?
Yes.
I thought witness Pagliano was granted immunity.
That's what I've read.
Well, Congress can't prosecute anyone, so the one entity who can has granted him immunity. I'm trying to figure out what his criminal liability is.
If the gentleman would yield.
Well, I was having a colloquy with the chair.
I understand that,
but if you can answer the question, I'll be happy to hear from you.
The FBI granted him limited immunity for the purpose
the FBI didn't grant him immunity. The Department of Justice granted him immunity.
That's correct. For that limited purpose.
How do you know it was limited use immunity? I haven't seen the immunity agreement.
Let me also inject here.
No, I have great respect for Mr. Lynch. I have asked what kind of
his attorney, Mr. Pagliano's attorney, says in his letter that he was given limited immunity for that purpose.
Well, that raises another interesting question that I hope the gentleman from Massachusetts will help me figure out, which is when you've reached an agreement with the government, oftentimes it includes cooperation with other entities within that same government. So I wonder whether the Department of Justice in their proffer or immunity agreement with Mr. Pagliano made it clear that he needed to cooperate with another branch of government. We can't prosecute anyone. Only the Department of Justice can, and they've made it, frankly, crystal clear they're not prosecuting anyone in this fact pattern. So where's the criminal liability?
Once again, I stopped to just say, who are these dudes compared to us as citizens of the United States? It wouldn't even went this far. We'd be in jail already. This is some bullshit. We paying for this, people. We paying for the outcome to not be no fucking outcome. It's like this is Earl in the wheel. Just going around and around and around. Ain't going no fucking well. It's a bunch of bullshit, people. The whole fucking pool of gumbo, and I say the pool this time. I ain't say bowl. Pool. A swimming pool. One of the motherfucking Olympic-sized swimming pools. Gumbo. Full of all that you can eat. You can dive in there because the season's just perfect. Everything is just perfect. To the point where the seafood that you're eating, all of it was shot with antibiotics to keep it alive because it was infected. Now y'all eating it. 4 days later, y'all die. All because of what y'all put in your body, not knowing that it was contaminated. Because a lot of the food that you're eating lived at one time. I'm just saying, the chemistry in your body does not go with meat. That's just something that man taught you how to eat. I was one of those ones that used to eat that meat too. Yes, I was, but not no more. Because I know the truth. Treat your body right and your body will treat you right, because the Creator is that spark in that body that gives it life. That is that touch of love unconditionally that you feel. I'm just saying. The only thing is real is that's the only one that controls that love mechanism. Because the Creator is the only one that loves unconditionally. Because if you can get mad at your wife or mad at your child, that's just it. You got mad. Creator don't never get mad. The Creator loves you no matter what, because you are the creation. The Creator creates, not destroys. To make you or hurt you in any kind of way is to go opposite than going straight with love. I'm just saying. This is
The
bullshit.
gentleman has constitutional rights under the Fifth Amendment. Whether they are violated by the FBI or violated here in Congress,
Well, but
still violated.
But as the gentleman from Massachusetts knows, the Fifth
The witness,
Amendment,
he cannot
the
be
Fifth
required
Amendment,
to be a witness against himself.
Right, but the Fifth Amendment doesn't protect you from non-incriminating answers.
Well, we've got a criminal referral here.
Not on
That's
him.
it.
He can say
Sure it
his
is.
name.
Sure it is.
He can say where he worked.
Sure it
Every
is.
answer
It was
doesn't
issued after
incriminate.
The gentleman from Massachusetts will suspend. Gentleman from South Carolina is his time.
I was just inquiring of the chair. I thought there was an immunity agreement in place between the Department of Justice and this witness. So if he's been immunized and you can't prosecute anyone for anything, where is the criminal liability to him coming and answering questions? Which further assumes that every question you ask is going to expose him to criminal liability. There is no Fifth Amendment privilege against answering non-incriminating questions.
Will the gentleman yield?
Sure.
But he can incriminate himself because we've issued, a criminal referral here.
He's got immunity.
Because of he doesn't have immunity. He doesn't have immunity. He doesn't have immunity.
You haven't seen the
I'll
immunity
answer this.
agreement.
Look at it. If you want to read it yourself, it's from the gentleman's attorney. He's got limited
No, I'm
immunity.
going to need a more reliable source than a criminal defense attorney. I want to read the agreement itself. I want to read the agreement between the Department of Justice and this witness, and whether or not that agreement requires this witness to cooperate with other entities of government. That is commonplace. For them to say you can tell us the truth, but you can't tell Congress, makes no sense. That's all I want.
Okay, the gentleman will suspend. The committee should also be aware that the committee did send a subpoena to Mr. Pagliano to produce this immunity agreement. That was due today at 10 a.m., and he did not produce that as well. So he was under subpoena to not only have his presence here, but so that everybody on this panel can see this immunity agreement, which he supposedly has in his possession. Those documents were also subpoenaed by the committee, and he did not comply with that as well. It's the intention of the chair here. We're going to move on. There's a lot to address with Mr. Pagliano. Like I said, we're not letting go of this, but we need to continue with this hearing. We have Mr. Gambetta, Mr. Thornton, Mr. Cooper here. We do appreciate being here. All witnesses are to be sworn before they testify. So if you will please rise and raise your right hand.
This is gangster, people.
Do you solemnly
This
swear or
is
affirm
gangster.
that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth,
Swear
the
to
whole
who?
truth, and nothing but the truth?
So help me love.
Thank you. You may be seated. The record reflect that all witnesses answered
See,
in
they
the
always say,
affirmative.
so help me die the book, because they know it's bullshit too. That's why, so help me love. So help me love more.
We
So
have
help
not
me die.
received any
Where
written
you go from there?
testimony from today's
Where you go from there?
witnesses.
That's why the
Mr.
guy
Gambetta, do you
was
intend to make
a
an
project
opening statement?
of good is good. They just took out one of the
On advice
circles,
of counsel,
put it
I
in the dark
respectfully
edges,
decline to answer
and
and
squeezed
assert
that
my
D
Fifth
together.
Amendment
And then y'all
privilege.
got
Mr.
dog.
Thornton, do you
My bad, that
intend
was
to
back
make
for
an
good.
opening statement?
God.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer and assert my Fifth Amendment constitutional privilege.
See, and these dudes
Mr.
know that
Cooper,
they ain't going to jail.
Do you
They
intend
know
to
they
make
ain't
an
going
opening
to jail.
statement?
I have no opening statement.
Okay, please, if y'all can move the microphone a little tighter, a little closer, it's just hard to hear. Mr. Gambetta, we've sent a subpoena to you for your supposed, we have read that there was an immunity agreement. Mr. Gambetta, did you produce your immunity agreement this morning as required under the subpoena?
On advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer and assert my Fifth Amendment privilege.
We will be gone put in jail. Try that in court, people.
A couple of questions.
This is a Congress.
Senator
this is
Johnson
worse than court.
last year released a portion of an August 19, 2015 internal communication between two Platte River Networks employees. Here's how it read. Quote, wondering how we can sneak an email in now after the fact, asking them, meaning them we read to be the Clinton Executive Services Corporation, when they told us to cut the backups and have them confirm it for our records, starting to think this whole thing is really covering up some shady, and there's an expletive there. I just think if we have it in writing that they told us to cut the backups, then we can go public with our statement saying we've had the backup since day one. Then we were told to trim to 30 days and make us look a whole lot better. As I understand it, you were one of the two employees that signed a PRN in the Clinton account. Did you send or receive this email?
On advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer and assert my Fifth Amendment privilege.
Mr. Gambetta, 2 days after that last email, you wrote on August 21st, 2015 to an employee of a third-party backup firm called Datto. And this is what it said, quote, we are trying to tighten down every possible security angle on this customer. It occurs to us that anyone at PRN with access to the data partner portal, i.e. everyone here, could potentially access this device via remote web feature. Can we set up either two-factor authentication or move this device to a separate partner account or some other method to allow only who we permit on our end to access this device via the internet, end quote. If I understand the email correctly, every single employee at PRN could have accessed some of the most highly classified national security information that has ever been breached at the State Department. Can you prove that no other individuals accessed this data or even passed it on to someone else?
On advice of counsel, I respectfully refuse to answer and assert my Fifth Amendment privilege.
Well, one last one here. Mr. Gambetta, you're an IT guy who's paid by the Clintons. Generally, IT guys don't erase their clients' emails unless they're told to do so. So who told you to delete the emails?
On advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer and assert my Fifth Amendment privilege.
Mr. Cummings, do you have any questions?
Yeah. Do you all plan to continue to assert Mr. Gambetta, Ms. Gordon? Do you plan to continue to assert your Fifth Amendment rights? Is that your plan? Is that your plan?
On advice of counsel, I respectfully refuse to answer and assert my Fifth Amendment privilege.
And you, Ms. Gordon?
On advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer and assert my Fifth Amendment privilege.
I'm not going to have any other questions since it's clear that you're going to get taking the fifth on it. And I can understand why you're doing what you're doing. We've had a case here before where answering a question or two, we then ended up in all kinds of litigation as to whether or not you had waived your Fifth Amendment privileges, and so I have nothing further. And I do know that DC Ethics, DCS Ethics opinion that addresses the abuse of witnesses trying to take their Fifth Amendment privileges, and as a lawyer, I'm not going to be a part of that process.
Mr. Gambetta, given that you have indicated that you do not intend to answer any questions out of respect for your constitutional rights, we will now excuse you from the table. Okay? Mr. Thornton. Yesterday, Chairman Lamar Smith of the House Science, Space, and Technology Committee released an August 13th, 2015 letter from Datto to PRN's attorney, which said this, and I quote, "We have been following the news reports concerning various investigations related to Secretary Clinton's emails, including Platte River's provision of IT-related services to her. We have some concerns relative to data security. Platte has not enabled encryption at the local device. Given the sensitive, high-profile nature of the data, which is..."
Hi, I'm Skip Bayless, and welcome to my Skip ad. See? It says so right there.
We're running out of time. It's either the red one or the blue one. Cut the wire. Look, if I get this sequence wrong, if I make one mistake, this whole place, this whole...
Given the sensitive, high-profile nature of the data, which is alleged in press reports to potentially reside on the Datto device, it may be the target of a cyber attack from a multitude of highly sophisticated and capable entities or individuals. We believe such an event could place the unencrypted data itself at risk, as well as expose both Datto and Platte River systems to collateral damage. In its current state," and it goes on, "the device and the data that is stored thereon," and it goes on, is more vulnerable to cyber attack than Datto believes is prudent under the circumstances. Mr. Thornton, given the vulnerabilities identified by Datto, are you aware of any hacks of PRN's systems?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer and assert my Fifth Amendment constitutional privilege.
I'd like to just ask you one other question that I can't imagine has any implications on any criminal culpability or anything else to the... Just a simple question, yes or no. If you'll answer this one, we'll cut you loose here. Were you interviewed by the FBI?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer and assert my Fifth Amendment constitutional privilege.
You can't answer the question about whether or not you were interviewed by the FBI?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline.
Mr. Cummings.
Again, as a member of the bar for 40 years, I'm not going to participate in this. I just think that when we bring witnesses here and we berate them, when we could do it in executive session or whatever, I think it would be unethical for me.
Why do shit secretly, man? We the people who want to know this shit, man.
He does not intend to answer any questions out of respect for his constitutional rights. We will now excuse Mr. Thornton from the table. We will recess for 2 minutes while the clerk is able to reset the table. Committee stands in recess.
You see the bullshit? I'll stop it right there. You see, we'll go to jail. We'll be in jail right now. On the real. We'll be in jail without the bail. I'm trying to tell you. That's the bullshit that's going on in this world today with our politics. Because that's all it is. It's a bunch of tricksters tricking the people and the bullshit. We paying for all this shit, people. We paying for to be bullshitted by the bullshitters. I say again, YouTube and Facebook. I thought that you were the truth. I thought that you were our voice. But I'm glad to say that I can save all this shit and go listen to myself talk, even if you mute my shit out. But for you to mute my shit out and let a lot of this bullshit go through, it let me know, it give me confirmation that I know what I'm talking about. Or your sensor that mutes out shit that you don't want nobody to know about. Hey, y'all done muted a lot of my shit that I know that I ain't do nothing to violate nobody's rights on no copyrights, none of that after watching the shit that you guys make and the shit that other people make. So I know that it is what it is when y'all got a serious sensor that watches out for the things that people will want to hear what somebody's talking about. But it's all to the good because the vibrations of me and knowing what I know is going to get out. Because I'm as free as the nature. I'm trying to tell you. Me, Mother Earth, we all one. I know I'm connected. Totally. Because living is a beautiful thing. Dying is going to happen. So to be afraid of dying is not to know where you're going after you die. And that is the mystery that I can't really tell you. But I can tell you where I went. I knew where I was at. Because it just felt so good to the point where I didn't want to come back to this bullshit. But I came back with a job to do. And now to tell you people the total truth. And when I say the total truth, I've been on a journey of knowing what the truth is. Now that I know what the truth is, I can stand up and go straight. Straight meaning one way. Not to the left, not to the right, and not backwards. Straight. To know that my now is my everything. To my future becoming what I create for myself. Until you realize that the creativity in you is the creator of you. That spark, that motivation, that feeling of love unconditional that you feel to know that you're real. Not have to believe that you're real, to know that you're real. So, back to the bullshit, God bullshit. There's a man in the sky when there is no man in the sky, and I can show you to tell you why. And you heard me say show you to tell you why, because I can paint the picture. I can say from the beginning, man been trying to be the creator, which is the woman. Man can only donate to that creation that woman made. Like I said again, man been trying to be the creator, but he can't. He's just the donator to the creator, which is that woman. That's why we was created to be a conscious thinking worker bee for the queen bee to be here. To make sure that the queen bee has everything that the queen bee needs to be here. And not have to worry about nothing that queen bee while she here. Until it's time for the queen bee and the man bee making a seed in the queen bee to be here. And then and only then will that man be a father here on earth as he is in his heavenly realm of the circle of life. All he got to do is teach his kid to go straight. But once his kid reaches a certain age, his kid is cut straight loose from mom and dad. But what he was installed was straight. So anything that kid do after all that he was installed from mom and dad to do that goes straight, it's on that kid. How can his mom and dad be held responsible for him not going straight when they did everything that they were supposed to do for him to go straight? I'm just saying, y'all got to start thinking with your mind and stop bullshit with this bullshit that taught you how to not think straight because you're thinking exactly how you was taught to think when you think about the groove that you was put in for you to be in the religion that you're in. Because everything that man has created has what I would say competitiveness in it all. Why you want to be first when you don't deserve to be first? Because you know you won't do what you have to do to be first, like sacrifice your life for it all. I'm just saying, you have to reach in your heart and go with that vibration, which is that beat that makes the spark. That is the love unconditional you feel from the Creator. It makes you strong when you know that you're not all alone, when you know that the Creator of you is with you. I'm just saying, y'all gotta cut that bullshit out about to believe in bullshit, God, man in the sky bullshit. This is some motherfucking fairy tale bullshit. This is not. This is real life. You feel it to go through it because you in it. And this is life. So, we're gonna live there and say that 30 minutes of this here is enough of this bullshit here. I just wanted to make this little video. It's simple. Why do people go to jail when some other people don't? Why is some people higher than other people? Why a person have to get a liar, which is a lawyer, to represent them and have to pay for that liar, which is a lawyer, to represent them, when they can represent themselves on some truth that they have, and they have all the truth that they need to represent themselves, but they don't get a chance to represent themselves because the people that they reported the abuse or whatever happened to is not caring to really pursue what the person is talking about, when what happened to the person is a offense to that person. Because when I think about what happened to me in the hospital with a doctor telling me that I was HIV positive and telling me that they caught it in time, to tell me that it's a usual type of infection that they caught in time, to tell me that I'm going to be started on some HIV medication the next day, for another doctor to tell me that I have to go into surgery for the bowel obstruction that I have, to tell me that here's the paperwork that you have to sign that leaves us not responsible if you have allergic reaction to the anesthesia, to tell me that if I die in the procedure, tell me that we're not liable, to tell me that more than 4 times. You tell me what you had told them if you was going to sign the paper or not. I had to tell them, is this going to be my last time signing a piece of paper? So I say again to you, the people out there, the hospital is the worst place where you want to be. So to avoid not going to the hospital, you have to watch what you eat. And to eat meat is to end up in the hospital. Because just as you eating that meat, think about that meat and what that meat ate. That meat could have been eating all type of not food. I'll say it again. That meat could have been eating all type of not food. Why? Is because they want that meat to be big enough to eat, and then you eat it and put it in you. You have to eat to live, not kill to eat. Come on, people. Stop being animals. You don't have canine teeth. Canine teeth is what dogs, animals have on their teeth to eat the meat properly. Digestive system, totally different. Listen to me, people. It's time to change your life if you want to live life and live a long and prosperous life, feeling good. I feel good all the time, even though I feel bad, but the only reason why I feel bad because I broke my back while drinking and driving. I can say to you out there that feels like drinking and driving is cool, let me explain to you, don't be no fool. I know what I know because of where I went to know. I can explain to you more like this for you to know where I'm coming from. I can't feel my penis no more. I can't shoot out life no more. I'm in a serious situation in my life. I know what I know, and I know what the truth is. And for me to know that the truth is in that sperm, in that woman, that's life. When that 2 and 2, that negative and that positive, come together to become one, that's the love of the Creator. That's why that life can be created out of none. Out of two people not being in love. Out of a woman getting raped. But once that life comes, you have to love that life because that life made it out of that portal. Here to earth. It's another one. No matter how the life was created, yes, that person who created it will deal with what he put out wrong. Believe that. We live in a circle of life. Whatever you do in this life will come back to you, right or wrong. But wrong comes back 4 times more than 2 when you do it and you know you're wrong. I'm just saying, the truth is the truth. I wouldn't steer you wrong because I want you to know the truth for yourself. I don't have no material motive but for you to know the truth is in you to be a better you than you could be. True to you and stop lying to yourself. And it is what it is. When you listen to life, it's all you have until you leave. I'm Mr. Glasses.